Hello everyone and welcome back to Potty Play Entertainment. My name is Chris and in case you don't know, I review movies and I rank them on a scale of 0 to 100 in increments of 5. Spider-Man No Way Home. It's finally here. It's finally here. Came out a couple days ago. It came out yesterday. Actually, I saw it yesterday. Some people caught early screenings on Thursday. I did not. I caught an afternoon showing yesterday. I went into this with pretty high expectations. And, I came out of it more than satisfied. I gotta say, this movie surpassed my expectations by quite a bit. And my expectations were high. Like, really high. And it far surpassed my really high expectations. Wow. What a movie. I mean, just... wow. I'm completely happy with this. I'm so happy with this. Alright, so before I go any further, I'm going to say this is going to be a spoiler-free review. However, once I give my rating, then I'm going to delve into spoilers. So when I give my rating for the movie, that will cut this video in half and I will get into all things spoilers. So if you don't want the movie spoiled for you, I will not spoil it for you. Just once I tell you rank it on a scale of 0 to 100 increments 5, then you can come back later if you still haven't seen it. So let's go ahead and talk about Spider-Man No Way Home. It is the last movie in the Home trilogy. I am very curious as to what's coming next. I know what's coming next will be, I think this is supposed to be like the end of his high school days, because Tom Holland is like 3 years older than me. I'm 22. And he's playing a 17-year-old, and somehow he's actually able to pass for that, which is very interesting. But I think, like, when we see him from now on, he's going to be like Tobey Maguire was in the original trilogy, more in college, is my understanding. So let's just talk about it. So, Spider-Man No Way Home stars Tom Holland, Zendaya, Benedict Cumberbatch, Jacob Batalon, and Marissa Tomei. It was directed by John Watts and it was produced by Victoria Alonso, Avi Arad, Louis Despacito, Rachel O'Connor, Joan, I don't know which, Puritano, and Matt Tolmach. And in this movie, everybody knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. We see this at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home. Now everybody in the world knows he's Spider-Man. And he and his girlfriend and his best friend are having to deal with this in their everyday lives, the impact that this now is having on them. And so he goes to Benedict Cumberbatch, who plays Doctor Strange, and he's like, hey, can you make everyone forget this? And he ends up like complaining to him while he's doing the spell, and so he screws up the spell. And so all these people from the multiverse start coming through into his universe. And this isn't a spoiler because it's in the trailer. We start seeing the villains from these movies, and actually, where are the other ones? I forgot it. I put them up here, the A's, didn't I? Where are they? Here they are. The villains from that universe and this universe start coming through the portal, and he's got to deal with that. So it's look. I grew up with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. And later on in my life, I got these movies. I think these are alright. And they're not great. I really like the first Spider-Man. And I think the sequels to it are alright. If you've seen a video I made a long time ago, I talked about movies I thought were overrated. I still think Spider-Man 2 is really overrated. I like it, but not that much. And I thought this was... right up until I saw this yesterday, I thought this was the best Spider-Man movie ever made. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, the new one is the best Spider-Man movie ever made. And you know what's... people are loving this movie so much. It currently has over a 9-point rating on IMDb. Right now, as I'm recording this, it has a 9.1 out of 10. That's higher than The Godfather Part 2, higher than The Dark Knight, higher than Schindler's List, higher than 12 Angry Men, and just below The Godfather and The Shawshank Redemption. That's how much people are loving this movie. That's crazy to me. I mean, that's just why. Now, obviously, that number is going to drop as more and more people see it. That's how it always works on IMDb. It always starts out really high and then goes down and down and down and down and down. But I don't think this is going to drop that much. I really don't. On Rotten Tomatoes, I think it has like a 99 or a 100. It's crazy. This movie means a lot to me. Because this is my childhood that we're seeing in this movie. Seeing Dr. Octopus again and Willem Dafoe returning as the Green Goblin, that was my childhood. I remember I used to watch the first Spider-Man movie on TV when I was a kid, and I loved Willem Dafoe in the movie, but whenever he would talk to himself, it scared the crap out of me, and so I would have to leave the room and come back because he scared me. I always, and Dr. Octopus was like my favorite supervillain when I was a kid. Like, Spider-Man has meant a lot to me throughout my life. And so seeing my childhood come back and get treated with so much respect the way this movie does, that touched me very much. So I guess that would be my first pro. It's just that this movie meant a lot to me, and they absolutely did the absolute best that they could with it, and I was completely satisfied. So let's get into my first pro here. Well, I guess that would be my first pro, but the first one I got listed here is the action sequences are great. They are really awesome, and they're really fun to watch. It is so much fun just to watch Spider-Man do his thing with all these villains from all these other Spider-Man movies. It's got great special effects, as all these Marvel movies do. It's got some great surprises in it, which I will talk about in the spoiler section. Also, all the actors slip right back in their old roles. Like, they didn't miss a beat. I mean, some of these guys haven't played these characters since I was like 2. So, and I'm 22 now. So, and they just slip right back into it. They're fantastic. It's got really, really good humor in it. I love Electro's new look that you see in the trailer. Because he looked, I mean, let's be honest, this is atrocious. So they fixed him, and I really liked it. I got some nitpicks about his look, though. Do I consider that a spoiler? No, I did not. Okay, so I will talk about that later. Let's see. It questions more. This movie does a really good job at questioning your morals. Without getting too deep into the plot or anything, this movie like really makes you stop and question, okay, who's right here in this situation? Because you can kind of get everyone's point of view, and it really makes you stop and think and question things. And I really like that. That to me, that's great filmmaking. It has Peter questioning whether or not he should be Spider-Man. And we saw that in Spider-Man 2. And the problem I always had with Spider-Man 2 is that it focuses so much on Peter's personal problems that Spider-Man, to me, he always felt like he was just sort of shoehorned into the plot. Like, they wanted to make a movie about Peter Parker, but they knew no one would go see it. So they just sort of shoved Spider-Man in as much as they could to make it so that they could call it a Spider-Man movie. I know not everybody's going to agree with that, but that's just the way I have always felt about it. Even when I was a kid, I felt that way about that movie, and I stand by that opinion to this day. But this movie does the same thing with the character. He starts questioning, like, what am I doing here? But it doesn't weigh down the plot, and it doesn't get boring or drag at any point. I'm having a hard time reading it from there. The villains also get a lot of screen time in this movie, and they have a lot to do, which I really appreciate. They don't just show up and do some cool fan service stuff and then disappear. No, they have a lot to do here, and it's great. They have a lot of great lines, a lot of great moments, plenty to do. They really made the best of it, and I really love that. Also, you see it in the trailer, Spider-Man has a few different suits that he wears in this movie, and they're all pretty cool looking. The performances in this movie are really good. Tom Holland is really good in this movie. I remember like when I first saw him in Civil War, I didn't like him that much. I also didn't like Zendaya as MJ. I just thought she was really cartoony. But they both grew on me. And I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man now, and he's really, really good in this movie. This movie really challenges Peter as a character. It really, really puts him through the gauntlet, and I really appreciate that. Also, this movie is pretty self-aware. It likes to make fun of the other Spider-Man movies, but it doesn't overdo it. Like, this movie even, like, pokes fun at, like, some Spider-Man memes. But, again, it's not too on the nose. Let's see. And, alright, so let's get into my two... So that's the end of my pros. Let's get into my two nitpicks that I have with this movie that are not spoilers. So Electro, as you see in the trailer, he's not blue anymore. But the movie doesn't make any attempt to explain why. And also his haircut is different, but they don't explain that either. I don't know if it's just because they really legit could not think of a reason for him to not be blue anymore. I understand he couldn't be blue anymore because no one freaking liked him being blue and bald, okay? But he's got a different haircut. He's got his hair back, and he's not blue anymore. But he's just like, oh, I got my skin back. And then that's the end of it. It's weird. And also, it could have been edited better. There are some moments in where I know it's like, that felt a little rough there. But again, it's just a nitpick. Like you see it in the trailer where he's like, please call, where Doctor Strange says, please call me Steven. And he's like, okay, Steven. And then he's like, that feels weird, but I'll allow it. He immediately comes back with that, and I felt like there should have been a pause. Like he should have been, that feels weird, but I'll allow it. You know, things like that, just little nitpicks that I have with it. Okay, so the rest that I have to say about this movie are completely spoilers, so I'm going to go ahead and give my review. This is one of the best movies I've ever seen, and I honestly cannot believe I'm saying that because I really like Marvel movies, but I don't rewatch them a lot because I don't consider them to be, like, masterpieces of filmmaking or anything. This is one of the best movies I've ever seen. I sincerely mean this is one of the best movies of all time. It really, really is, and I can't believe I'm saying that. Spider-Man No Way Home, of course, gets a 100. Okay, so now is the spoiler section of our video. Oh, man, I got lots to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started. So, you have been warned. I am about to completely spoil this movie. So, for one thing, Daredevil is in this movie. Now, I've never watched the Daredevil show, so I didn't actually know who he was when I saw him. But the guy I went to see it with, which is a former coworker of mine, he was like, oh, it's Daredevil. And I was like, oh, okay. Because people, like, whooped a little bit when they saw him. People actually clapped and cheered 6 times when I watched this movie. 6 times. One time doesn't really count because it was, like, when the movie ended, but during the movie, 5 times. 6 if you want to include the little whoops that he got. So I guess it would be 7. But people like really like got like freaked out and clapped and cheered 5 times during this. That is amazing to me. I've never been to a movie before where people did that. Never. I think the closest I've ever come to that was when I saw Creed and people were like, "Woo, woo!" when he was fighting the guy at the end. That was about the closest I've ever come to that. Let's see. Also, when I saw the trailers, I thought the Hobgoblin was going to be in this movie. So, like, I thought, like, maybe that could have been James Franco. But James Franco's not in the movie. It's actually Willem Dafoe. Because when you see the movie, he smashes his helmet with a rock, which that's kind of weird. I don't know how he completely destroyed it with a rock. Again, nitpick. But he's wearing a torn-up hoodie. That's the original look for him, is that he's an actual goblin wearing like this purple hoodie. So that was basically what they were going for there, and I thought that was really cool. The other 2 Spider-Mans. Yes. Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire. No, not Tom Holland. Sorry. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are both in this movie. And holy crap, was that satisfying. People freaked out when those 2 came into the movie in my theater. I mean, it was wild. I just, my heart. It was awesome. They slipped right back into their roles. Really good. They were great in the movie. They were so much fun to watch. It was so great to see them as these characters again. This is my childhood, and they just honored my childhood so well. I really, really appreciated it. They get quite a bit of screen time. They don't come in until like halfway or a little over halfway into the film, but once they come in, they're there constantly, and they have plenty to do, and I love that. Let's see, Aunt May's death I thought was handled really well. She got, instead of Uncle Ben, because there is no Uncle Ben in the MCU. He got, or is there? Maybe I'm tripping, but she got the "with great power comes great responsibility" moment. And I thought it was handled really, really well. I also thought that Spider-Man fist fighting the Green Goblin at the end was really satisfying. I was like, yeah, oh yeah, white knuckled. Let's do it. That was really awesome. Okay, now I got a few spoiler nitpicks with this movie that I want to talk about. So when Spider-Man has like this goo on his costume, he can't get it out, and so he just flips it inside out. First of all, wouldn't that feel weird on your skin having the goo on it, first of all? And second of all, when you see it, it's that black one that you see in the trailer, right? There's like wires on it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, wouldn't those wires like be rubbing up against him, like feel really uncomfortable? You know what I mean? Again, nitpick, but it's just something I thought about. Also, Tobey Maguire gets stabbed by the Green Goblin. And then afterward, he doesn't have any stab marks on the front of him, and he's just sort of in pain. And then he goes back to his universe, and it's like, okay, well, is he gonna die? I don't understand. They never make any attempt to explain that. That was probably the one thing about this movie that actually really did bug me, is that he gets stabbed for no reason, and then they don't do anything with it. That actually did kind of bug me. And also, this may not be a plot hole or anything, maybe I'm just misunderstanding, but all the characters come through the multiverse at different points in time in their own universes. That's how Green Goblin and Dr. Octopus are there at the same time. But how do they come through at different moments in time? I don't understand that. Maybe somebody could explain that to me in the comments. I'm not saying that the movie's wrong. I'm just saying that I don't understand it, and it's something I thought about. That's it. That's all I got. One of the best movies I've ever seen. This meant a lot to me. I can't wait to buy this when it comes out. I might go see it in theaters again. I still haven't seen Eternals, by the way. I'm gonna try and do that at some point. I've been slacking on that. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to Pirate Player Entertainment for more. Hit the like button. Leave me reviews, suggestions down in the comments down below. Follow me on Instagram at Pirate Player Entertainment for channel updates. And much love.